On July 30th, 1975, one of the most powerful men in American labor history vanished without a trace. Jimmy Hoffa, the controversial yet iconic former president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, left for a meeting in suburban Detroit and was never seen again. No body was found, no killer convicted, and no official explanation accepted. Nearly 5 decades later, the disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa remains one of America's greatest unsolved mysteries, involving the Mafia, the FBI, political corruption, and countless conspiracy theories. This is the full story. Chapter 1. The Rise of Jimmy Hoffa. Born in 1913 in Brazil, Indiana, Jimmy Hoffa grew up in a working-class family. He dropped out of school at age 14 to help support his family and began working in warehouses. By his early 20s, he had already become an effective labor organizer, fighting for better wages and safer conditions for workers. In the 1930s and 1940s, Hoffa helped build the Teamsters Union into one of the most powerful labor organizations in America. His fearless negotiating style and willingness to challenge employers, and even the U.S. government, made him a legend. But his rise to power was also accompanied by troubling alliances, especially with organized crime. Chapter 2. Union power and Mafia ties. By the 1950s, Hoffa had become the national vice president of the Teamsters. He took the presidency in 1957 after Dave Beck stepped down amid corruption charges. Hoffa was not shy about wielding power. He controlled billions in pension funds and used them to build alliances with politicians, businessmen, and even mob bosses. Hoffa's relationship with the Mafia was an open secret. In return for access to union pension funds, mobsters supported Hoffa's leadership and helped enforce his control over the Teamsters through threats and violence. Chapter 3. The government strikes back. Hoffa's connections caught the attention of U.S. Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy, who made it his personal mission to bring him down. After years of investigations and court battles, Hoffa was finally convicted in 1964 of jury tampering, fraud, and conspiracy. He was sentenced to 13 years in prison. In 1971, President Richard Nixon commuted Hoffa's sentence on the condition that he not engage in union activities until 1980. Hoffa accepted the deal, but he wasn't done yet. Chapter 4. The Road to Disappearance. Despite the restrictions, Hoffa was determined to regain control of the Teamsters. He began meeting with old contacts and planning his comeback, but not everyone was happy about Hoffa's return to power, especially the Mafia, who had grown used to their new arrangements with the Union. On July 30th, 1975, Hoffa scheduled a meeting with 2 known mob figures, Anthony Tony Jack Giacalone and Anthony Tony Pro Provenzano, at the Machis Red Fox restaurant in Bloomfield Township, Michigan. Hoffa waited in the parking lot, but the men never showed up. Witnesses saw him pacing and making phone calls. By 2:45 p.m., he was gone. Chapter 5. The investigation begins. The FBI launched an immediate investigation. Hoffa's car was found, but there were no signs of struggle. His family, friends, and associates were interviewed. The suspects included everyone from Teamsters officials to Mafia hitmen. The leading theory was that Hoffa was lured to the meeting, killed, and his body disposed of. But how and where? Some said he was buried under Giants Stadium in New Jersey. Others believed he was incinerated in a mob-owned trash facility. Rumors even claimed he was dropped into a Great Lake or ground up at a meat processing plant. But every lead ended in a dead end. Chapter 6. Theories and confessions. Over the years, numerous informants and mobsters have claimed knowledge of Hoffa's fate. Some said he was killed by Anthony Provenzano's men. Others pointed to Detroit mob boss Giacomo Blackjack Tocco. In 2004, a former mobster claimed Hoffa was buried beneath a driveway in suburban Detroit. The FBI dug up the site, but found nothing. In 2013, author Charles Brandt published I Heard You Paint Houses, based on interviews with hitman Frank Sheeran, who claimed he killed Hoffa in a Detroit house and had him cremated. The story inspired Martin Scorsese's film The Irishman, but the FBI has never confirmed Sheeran's story. Chapter 7. Legal and historical impact. Despite decades of investigation, no one has ever been charged with Hoffa's murder. In 1982, he was declared legally dead, yet the story refuses to die. Hoffa's disappearance led to increased scrutiny of union corruption and organized crime. The Teamsters were placed under government oversight. New laws were passed to protect pension funds and fight racketeering. It has been nearly 50 years since Jimmy Hoffa vanished. His fate may never be known, but his story continues to captivate the American imagination. As long as questions remain unanswered, Hoffa's ghost will loom over America's unsolved mysteries.